Welcome to Math with Mr. J. In this video, we're going to be covering subtracting negative numbers. And as you can see, there are 4 problems on your screen that we're going to solve. There are also 2 number lines that are going to help us visualize and see exactly what we're doing when we subtract negative numbers. So let's jump right in to number 1. So for number 1, we have 2 minus negative 3. And subtraction tells us to go backwards on a number line, right? So for example, if we had 10 minus 3, we know that equals 7, right? We start at 10 and we take away 1, 2, 3, and we end at 7. Now when we're working with negative numbers, they actually tell us the opposite. So if we do 2 minus negative 3, we start at 2 here, and we're going to take away negative 3. And again, that negative tells us to do the opposite. So we're not going to go backwards on the number line, we're actually going to go forwards 3. 1, 2, 3. And we end at a positive 5. Now a simpler way or easier way to think of these problems without writing it out on a number line, the number line initially helps us visualize and see what we're doing. But eventually you need to get to a point where you don't need the number line. And whenever we're subtracting negative numbers, all we need to do is add the opposite. So for number 1, we keep 2 as is. We change this to addition, and we need to switch the sign of the second number, the opposite. So instead of negative 3, we're going to have a positive 3. And that gives us 5, the same answer as when we wrote it out on a number line. So when you add the opposite, make sure you don't just change this to addition. That completely changes the problem. In order to switch it to addition, you have to have the opposite of that second number in the problem. So let's go to number 2. Let's add the opposite first. So we have negative 4, and let's add the opposite of positive 2. We have a positive 2 here, so the opposite would be a negative 2. So negative 4 plus a negative 2 gives us a total of negative 6. Let's write it out on the number line. So we start at negative 4, and we're subtracting this positive 2 here, which means we go to the left on the number line. We're taking away 2. So 1, 2, and we end at negative 6. So our number line gave us the same answer. Number 3, let's add the opposite here. So we have a negative 9 plus, what's the opposite of negative 3? Well, a positive 3. And this is going to give us negative 9 plus that 3, a negative 6. Let's go over to this number line here. The bottom left will start at negative 9, and we're subtracting a negative 3. And remember, this negative 3 tells us to do the opposite because of this negative sign. So instead of going to the left when we subtract, we go to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. And we end at negative 6. So the same as when we added the opposite. So number 4, we have negative 25. Change to addition, and change the negative 8 to the opposite, which would give us a positive 8. Add the opposite. So negative 25 plus that positive 8 gives us a negative 17. So there you have it. That's subtracting negative numbers. And just remember, add the opposite, and it will make that problem easier to tackle. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, peace.